Hey guys, welcome to episode number 166. Today is Friday, and so it's Fan Friday, and back by popular request is the Office Nano. Everyone wanted to know how the clownfish are doing, and as you can see, they're doing very well. They love their 10-gallon Eheim Nano tank here, and I'm happy to report that they made it just fine through my recent 10-day vacation. They've made it through several smaller vacations, and they don't really seem to complain. I will say that I have tried putting peppermint shrimp in here several times, and as you can see, some of the Aptasia are back, but they always seem to die off, the peppermint shrimp. I just don't think it's a big enough tank for them. And I have tried adding a little bit of a cleanup crew. As you can see, there's a lot of the discarded shells here. I did add some blue-legged hermit crabs, some red-legged hermit crabs, and several other things. Some of them are alive and well. Most of them, again, kind of died off slowly over time. They did a pretty good job with the algae control on the rocks, but again, I think it's just a little bit too small of a tank for them to really hang in there for very long. So I kind of learned my lesson there, and I've just kind of been focusing on the clowns for now, just giving them the best that they can get here at the office. And two parts to how I'm kind of maintaining their water quality here are the filters and the live plants. So just as kind of like an update on Eheim and this tank in particular, the Aquastyle, the filter back there, it works okay. As you can see right now, it's off, and I believe that's because I burnt out the pump, or the impeller is jammed, and I can't get it unstuck. So I've retired that filter from use, and in its place I've just kind of installed this hang-on back filter, which actually has much higher capacity than this little filter ever did. So that's kind of what I'm using right now. One thing I will say about the Eheim filter, it's very compact, which is nice. It's pretty easy to get open and to clean, which is also nice. But the biggest downside is you can't get to the impeller very well. So if like a small snail or a worm or just algae or growth just starts to get in there or gets sucked into there, it's very hard to clean that stuff out. So whereas with a hang-on back filter you can just pop the impeller right out and clean it and throw it back in, with the Eheim you're kind of limited. And I often found that when I shut the Eheim filter off to do a water change, when I filled the tank back up, it wouldn't come right back on. Sometimes it took a while, and I believe it ran dry for a little bit while I was on vacation, one of my longer vacations. And that's partly due to the fact that I've decided not to put the top on this tank, so you get a little bit more evaporation than you normally would. But it's just kind of a shame that it runs dry so quickly, and it doesn't like to start back up very well. So the tank itself is beautiful. I love it. The LED light is great. I love it. I've heard they've released an actinic light as well, so you can put up to 2 lights on this light bar. Although I think the wattage drops a little bit because you've got 2 running off the same amount of electricity. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the filter, just because it didn't hold up for much more than a year of use. So I've kind of gone to this as an alternative. Obviously it's a little bit bigger. It doesn't look as great, sitting on the side of the tank, but it's, you know, it's doing its job for right now, so I really can't complain about that. As you can see, I've put in a little piece of quilt batting here. That's just to keep the noise down a little bit, so that the water can flow slowly and gently back into the tank instead of spilling, causing a little bit of splashing and you know, a lot of noise. Anyways, the second part of the equation here isn't actually the live rock. The live rock's fine. You know, everyone should be using live rock. That's normal. But is the live plants. So as you can see here, I have one mangrove that's doing fairly well, and I have several smaller ones over here that aren't doing quite as well. There's not a whole lot of light over here. I did try putting a light, hanging a light up here to give the mangroves a little bit more light, but still it wasn't really enough. I've heard that mangroves aren't really picky when it comes to the amount of light they're getting, but I can see the leaves turning yellow a little bit here, so you know, it might need a little bit more light. We'll see. But what it is doing is clearing up a lot of the nitrates from the water, which is very good, and it's helped to keep the algae down inside the tank. It's doing a very good job at that. But honestly, what I think is working even better than the mangroves is the chaeto, and you'll see a little piece of it back there, kind of tucked between the live rock and the filter. That chaeto is a macroalgae. A lot of people use it in their sump tanks or their refugiums, and they put a really heavy light on it, and it grows like crazy, and it just pulls everything out of the water. I found that stuff basically doubles in size in this tank within a week or two. So I constantly have to prune it back and throw it away. In fact, I've got a 2.5 gallon bucket here, and it's got a ton of chaeto that I'm about to throw out because it's just it just overtakes this tank. So, you know, all in all, the fish are doing really well. I've considered getting an anemone, but you know, it just hasn't really worked out. I'm a little scared that if it does die, it would take out the fish with it. And so for right now, I've decided not to do that. If I move this tank eventually into a home, it might be something that I can, you know, spend a little bit more time on, and at that point I might go ahead and pick up an anemone and see how it does, just because I can keep an eye on it. The amount of time that I spend on this tank surprises people. People ask me all the time, how much time do I spend on this tank? You know, how can I have it set up at work and whatnot? And honestly, I only do like a 2 gallon water change about every other week. And you know, usually in that time period, I also top it off with fresh water, about like a gallon of fresh water in that time period. And that's about it for maintenance. I mean, I clean the glass every once in a while, but other than that, I mean, those plants are really doing their job. And the filter, since it is such a small size tank, and because, you know, I only do have 2 fish in it, the filter does its job. It keeps up. Don't have to clean that very often. So I'd say it's probably about 10 to 15 minutes every other week in terms of the amount of time to maintain this tank. Now, obviously, as you see, you know, there are some algae spots. Obviously, you know, I don't have anything exotic living in this tank. It's just a couple clownfish. But for me, you know, that's enough. And if I was to try to get, you know, a little too fancy with this tank, I feel like it would just be a giant waste of money, because, you know, as I explained, the shrimp and the hermit crabs, you know, didn't really hang in for too long. I wouldn't expect that, you know, setting anything else up in this tank would really hold on for too long. So keeping it simple here, fish only with live rock and a few live plants, and you know, that's worked out for me. In terms of the water changes, I'm not using anything fancy again. I'm just using, you know, a 2 gallon bucket. And what I do is I take water that has carbon block filtration on it, just tap water, and you know, I dechlorinate it, and then I just add my salt mix to it. So nothing fancy, no reverse osmosis, not deionized. I mean, you know, it's really as simple as it can get. I do notice that sometimes after I do a water change, I do get a little bit of an algae bloom, but that's become less true as I added the Chaeto to kind of combat that algae. So all in all, I'm really happy with the progress and the upkeep on this tank. It's a great little tank. It adds a lot of color and excitement to this corner of the office. And you know, if you guys are thinking about it, you know, doing something simple isn't actually a whole lot of work. So you know, I definitely enjoy it, and I know my coworkers definitely enjoy it as well. So that's the update, guys. Hopefully these mangroves hold on. And the Chaeto will just continue to grow and grow under that LED light. And other than that, clowns are really happy that they have the tank to themselves, so I think that's how I'm going to leave it for now. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.